And we're back once again, only on it's Last Call. Last Call the alcohol, only on the lastcallpodcast.com. And joining me here on location as always, well, we have a lot to talk about in the MMA world. We got UFC, PFL, a new sport, which even he and I are in agreement on this, which is rare. I give you once again the MMA insider, trash talker, uh, true sayer, and all around scoop breaker. I give you from the MMA Oddsbreaker podcast and Eurosport UFC. I give you Marcel Dorff. So Marcel, let's start off here with UFC Fight Night. Let's start off with the good stuff. Mario Bautista bounced back and had a very impressive performance. What did we learn anything new, or is he probably just like the third best bantamweight right now in the division?
First of all, thanks for having me again. I mean, Mario Bautista is pretty legit, and I think he got still underestimated by a lot of people, man. But he's really good, and he showed that again on Saturday. He only lost, I think, once in his last eight, and that was against Umar Nurmagomedov, and that was a competitive fight. So, um, I don't know, man. I mean, would I pick him against a Piotr Jan? No. Would I pick him against Marab? No. Would I pick him against Umar? No. But would I pick him against Corey Sandhagen? Maybe. Would I pick him against Sean O'Malley? They won't fight because they're teammates, but yes. So I think he's around top five somewhere. But the thing is, like, there are guys in that division who are just a little bit better. But he's definitely super legit, I think. And I'm happy he got the win. It was his first main event. He looked really good. Yeah, amazing performance, man. And the way he finished that fight went from from like what was that? He went for Kimura. When the Kimura when the oh no, he went from the crucifix position into the Kimura. And from the Kimura, he took his back and he's choked him out within seconds. So it looked amazing. It was an amazing finish. Deserved 100K bonus, I think. And yeah, it was amazing to watch, man.
So as you said, where does he go from here? Because Marab is and Peter Yan seem to have eyes for each other. Peter said that's the next fight.
Hmm.
Umar's waiting in the wings. Sean O'Malley says he has next fight. Um, Song Yadong is lost. So Corey Sandhagen. Is that the easiest fight to make, or do we look at maybe Ayman Zahabi or Marlon Vera next?
No, I like the Sandhagen call out, man. I think it makes sense. He fought Sandhagen, I think, in 2019 in his UFC debut, short notice. Both guys have been developing in the division. I think it's the right time to do the rematch. Why not? I mean, Corey Sandhagen is always fun to watch. Bautista is a great fighter. I think and he always get people still hating on him for that Aldo fight, but I think, I mean, he did what he had to do to win that fight. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that fight against Sandhagen again. Why not? Sandhagen is not getting a title shot anytime soon because he lost against against Marab. And also Bautista is not going to get a title shot anytime soon because he lost to Umar in this fight before this one. So let's do it, man. Let's go.
Meanwhile, Vinicius Oliveira, this fight looked like he bit off a lot more than he could chew, and he's still good. I mean, you look, but he's not young. Like he's 30 years old, 23-4. He won all his fights in the UFC up to this point, but
Mm.
all of a sudden, look at the wins like Ricky Simon, Kyler Phillips, Said Nurmagomedov, and you're like, where does he? So for him, like, where do you go? Do you give him another top 10 fight and maybe against David Martinez, Peyton Talbot? Do you go lower, maybe with a Montel Jackson? Like, what do you do with Oliveira, especially since he's in that weird zone where he's not a kid, but he's not old. He's just sort of in the middle.
I mean, his wins are pretty good, man, in the UFC, and he's still like kind of a newer guy into the top 15. So we can go either way with him. I think they should give him probably somebody just ranked in the top 15 or just ranked outside the top 15. But I mean, losing to Mario Bautista isn't that bad, it happens. I mean, they can match him up with a guy like Rob Font, for example. That's always a tough experience. Or either listen, we had Farid Basharat against John Matsumoto on this card as well. Let him fight Farid. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. So, there are a lot of options. He only fought so many guys in the division, like Saeed, Nurmagomedov, Kyler Phillips. Those are good wins, but now he probably has to look under him. And listen, if they want to keep pushing him, they can push him. There are a lot of options. It depends on what the UFC wants to do with him.
Kyoji Horiguchi continued his dominant ways, unanimous decision victory over Amir Albazi.
Hmm.
This just feels like he's giving the UFC no choice, and I get it. They don't want to just rush Joshua Vin. He beat Alexander Pantoja for the title in dubious standards. Not his fault, just a freak accident.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I don't see them really clamoring for Horiguchi versus Vance. So is Horiguchi forcing their hand, just going, all right, I'm going to destroy everybody in front of you until you have to put me against Joshua Van?
Yeah, it's difficult, I think. I think Horiguchi kind of deserves it, but there are also like a Tatsuro Taira who deserves it, and Kaab is also still there. So, and even Pantoja, if he's back soon. So the UFC actually has a luxury problem at 125 right now, I think. They can do many fights. I think the UFC shouldn't miss out on Taira against Horiguchi, but I wouldn't make that fight until it's for a belt. So they can give Horiguchi a title shot. Will they do it? I doubt it, to be really honest, if they do it, but I hope so. I think he's an amazing fighter. And he has something extra. I always thought he had something extra when he was in the UFC early on. Then he went to Bellator to Rise and got titles there, is back now. And he's still great. Albazi, Albazi had really many problems with his back, had surgeries. Didn't look amazing on Saturday. First round was pretty decent, but after that, I mean, it was all Horiguchi, and yeah, great win for Horiguchi. And I don't think it minds who he fights next, but I would hope it's for a title. That would be great.
If he doesn't, who do we do? Because I'm guessing the UFC is going, all right, Pantoja versus Tyra. That makes a lot of sense. It's the two young kids. Do you make Manel Cape and Horiguchi, or do they go maybe, yeah, let's sacrifice Brandon Royval or Brandon Moreno instead. Instead of getting rid of a number two guy right off the bat, let's just marinate it a bit and Horiguchi versus Tyra and Brandon Royval.
Horiguchi versus Star. Yeah, I mean, there's like I said, there's so many options, and that's the fun thing with Horiguchi getting now in the UFC that he hasn't fought a lot of these guys who are now at the top. So, like I said, I don't mind, I really don't mind.
How does he do it, by the way? Like I was thinking about this here. You have a guy, Horiguchi, who he's been around. Like you and I have been seeing him fight for a while. He's
Hmm.
35 years old, and we forget he's fought at bantamweight, at flyweight. He was there when
Yeah,
fighting Demetrius Johnson at one point.
yeah.
So how the hell does this guy do it when usually father time catches up? Like eventually you lose, when you're in your 30s to guys, forget 35, just guys, when you're 30 because everything just slows for a bit, and yet he seems to be almost getting better with, you look, his last five fights, Makoto Takahashi, Sergio Pettis, Nikazimo Zulu, then Olenbekov, and now Amir Balzer. Like, how the hell does this guy just defy father time?
Yeah, man. Some guys are just like, how do you say that? Have just some physical attributes that other people don't have. You see it with Yoel Romero, for example, which is like an extreme example, I think. But yeah, some guys have that, and I think Kyoji is just like, I think his mind is still young, and he looks still like a younger guy for some reason, and yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, some guys have it, and I think Horiguchi can last pretty long in the octagon, and he's looks so far so great. I think his only loss in the UFC is against Demetrius Johnson. So I mean, that's great. That's crazy, actually.
Where does the Mirabalzi go? Because as you said, the back injury and back surgery really kind of did a number on him. He's 32 years old. He also is, it's not like he's lost a step. It's just You start looking, it's like, okay, he's run into a wall where he can beat the Kai Kara Francis, the Francisco Figueiredos, but Brandon Moreno and Kyoji Horiguchi are sort of just a bit better than him, or in Horiguchi's case, a little bit more better than him. So, what do you do with him? I mean, do you make him versus Royval? Do you go a different route, like maybe Tim Elliott, Alex Perez? Like, what's next for Amir Albazi?
Yeah, I think the Alex Perez fight actually makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. You got like two guys who have been some time in the UFC. Who Perez, former title challenger, Albasi was close. Um, I think that makes a lot of sense, that fight actually. So yeah, let's roll that one. I think would be also an interesting fight. I think if you can see if Albasi is still on the level that he was before he got that bad injury with Perez. Perez is a tough guy for almost everybody in the division, I think, who's not in the top three. So yeah.
Is it safe to say that UFC flyweight, from terms of 1 through 10, is probably the most deepest in terms of, well, you have so many guys who could beat the champion that it's like, okay, throw a rock and almost anybody here can, you know, beat Joshua Van on their best day.
I mean, it's kind of difficult to say for Joshua Van because Joshua Van is such a young champion and he became champion. I mean, he had a great run, but like the way he became champion it's not his fault, but it's kind of like almost fluky, I would say. So I think the division is wide open. You have so many good contenders. I love flyweight. I always did. Also, when the UFC wanted to cut the division, but yeah, I think there are like more challengers than ever in the division, and it's good for the sport. It's good for the flyweight division, and I hope it gets up in popularity.
All right, let's get to it here because I know you all weekend long, you and Lewis, Glover, and other people were just going, Joaquim Almeida is just goddamn awful. Why is this guy on TV? He is the most boring guy in the UFC. And I could literally hear you just go, yep, heavyweights. Gotta get rid of these sons of bitches. Uh, Rizvan Kuniev defeated Jailton Almeida by unanimous decision, in which even Adam Martin, your co-host, was going, Alton, yeah, Yalton Almeida is basically like NyQuil. He will help you if you are having trouble falling asleep. How bad was this? How bad was this fight? And how much is, if you're Dana White, are you cutting Almeida almost like immediately?
Yeah, well, you know what sucks? I really like Jailton Almeida, but this fight, dude. I mean, I wouldn't listen if you cut Jailton Almeida, you also should cut Kuniev. They were both horrible in this fight. Kuniev only won because of cage pressure, pretty much. He won because he used his body fat to hold Almeida to the cage. That's why he won the fight, and it was just horrible to watch. And I mean, how can people say that heavyweight is more fun to watch than flyweight, for example? It's like it's like watching fucking paint dry. It's now you got the number 6 guy who fought horrible against an unranked guy. So pretty much, I would almost say like cut everybody under top 5 in the heavyweight division, and just keep it with those 5 who are there. It's just. I mean, the newer guys, maybe they can do something like Josh Hockett, Stephen Asplund. Who else do we have? Yeah, Kuniev is actually also a newer guy. But yeah, I'm just not very how do you say that? Not very hopeful for the division, man. I hope they can prove me wrong in the future. But man, this was a horrible fight, man. There was really. You saw also the coaches of Jailton Almeida who were really frustrated in the corner. They were like, "Dude, what are you doing, man? You're not going to win this way." And yeah, that's just a horrible fight overall, man. We shouldn't even talk about it, to be honest.
Remember, Marcel, there's always your guy, the foot hunter, Walter Walker. I know, but you're deep down, you're like, all right, this guy, I can get behind him. He does leg locks, Chris. He's a submission artist. Not one of these guys who just stands and bangs and is a chubba chub. He's a guy who's in shape and all that. But yeah, they have a problem because again, and Almeida's the guy you look at. It's like he was a finisher at one point. I mean, people forget that. Like he started off as UFC career with
Hmm.
five straight finishes. Goes out, beats Derek Lewis, and then it's almost like the Volkov fight. He forgot how to fight, and you're just sort of looking, going, "Okay, this he can't be this bad." And each fight, he's trying to prove, "No, I could be worse." You think that Tai Tuivasa and Teixeira was a bad fight? Hold my beer. This is going to be even worse.
It was overall horrible, man. I cannot even say something positive, and I hate to, but it was just horrible, man. I mean, what do you want me to say?
I don't
You
know
know?
because usually, as you said, you're an Almeida guy. You like him. It's not like Tui Taivasa. You're like, why is this guy here? You like Almeida, so this must have been for you painful. Like on one hand, you want this fight to go away, just this whole division, and yet at the same time, like, but I like Almeida. Why are you fighting like this? You're not a chubba chub. You're not a
Mhm.
roly poly guy. You can fight better.
For
You
for
will not gas.
Yeah, for some reason, if Almeida has to strike, he doesn't get it to the ground. He's like a fish out of water. You know what I mean? It's like really really weird to watch. It's like he has like no confidence in his hands, and yeah, I mean, horrible fights. Like I literally wrote in my article, this is a fight you want to never watch back again in your life. So yeah.
So let's go to the rest of the card. We'll start with the prelim card where Nikolai Veretennikov defeated Nico
Hmm.
Price. First round knockout, elbow punches in which poor Nico was out on his feet. It's the last fight of Nico Price's contract, and hopefully this is it. And look, I've enjoyed the hybrid. This is a guy you look at his career, and it's always been just action-packed fights. We remember whether it was Alex Moreno, Robbie Lawler, James Vick, Tim Means, Jeff Neal, Randy Brown. Like all these fights, you could say he is a rock'em sock'em, just action packed fighter. It's gotten ugly the last, you could say, six fights in which he's 1-5. He's been finished four out of those six times. Should he fight again ever? Like I know that PFL is always there. There's always some promotions, but if you're Nico Price's family, at what point do you tell him, look, you need to stop? This is not going well for you.
The thing is, like Nico Price has 7 kids, so he needs to provide for his family, I think, you know. But the thing is, like, do I want to see him fight again? Out of like health reasons, probably not. You know, I like Nico Price, always liked him. I think he was a great fighter. But the thing is, like, his time has passed. I feel like the thing is, like, if the UFC cuts him or whatever, he probably goes to big UFC or something. You know, because I think Nico isn't done with fighting. You know, but listen, I have nothing to say about it. It's totally his choice, you know. But if you ask me, do I want to see Nico Price fight again? No, but purely because of the health reason. Because a Nico Price 5 years ago doesn't lose like this against Veretaniko, if you know what I mean. So that's a little bit what I think. And yeah, I always love Nico, man. He's a fun character. He's a fun fighter. He's a good guy, family man. I respect him a lot, you know. And you don't want to see guys when they're aging going out this way, you know. That said, great win for Veretanikov. Um, yeah, but I don't like to see Nico get finished like that, you know.
By the way, he has seven kids with the same woman. So this isn't
Yeah,
like a Tyreek Hill where it's like, yeah, I've had five different wives, seven different kids. This is he said him and the wife have the same seven kids,
yeah.
which, as the old saying goes, I guess they did not have a TV. If they did, they wouldn't have seven kids, but it's a different story, different day. So again, though, and again, I like Nico. He is a fun character, good interview, doesn't get in trouble, does everything right. But as you said, it's the last couple of fights. It's been like getting knocked out in 142, taking a bludgeon, getting knocked down and then submitted in the second round, getting knocked out in 38 seconds by Robbie Lawler, getting beaten up for 3 rounds against, Philip Rowe. Like eventually, if you're UFC, do you have to step in and go, look, we can't resign you. We do not want you to get like brain damage in the octagon.
Of course you can, but like I said, like a couple of minutes ago, if the UFC cuts him, he probably goes to big EFC or something, you know what I mean? So I don't think Nico is going to stop fighting for now, So, but yeah, like I said, health, if I look at his health during the fights, I don't want to see him compete anymore, but I also don't want to see him go to big EFC, So, yeah.
The main card featured Dustin Jacoby versus Julius Walker. Jacoby, second round knockout over Walker by TKO and punches. Afterwards, he's challenged Donald Trump to a golf match.
Yeah.
Who knows if that happens? Where does Jacoby go? This is a guy you look and it's like when he's on, man, he can just finish anybody. He has that heavy hand. So I know what you're thinking. You're going, hey, Dustin Jacoby. There's a guy I want you to take care of. Son of a bitch named Khalil Roundtree Jr. Make that fight happen. We can get rid of Roundtree. Jacoby can get maybe a top five ranking. Does that happen? Do we get Khalil Roundtree Jr. versus Dustin Jacoby in basically an all action violence fight?
So yeah, I mean they fought each other a couple of years ago. Jacoby got robbed in that fight. He lost a decision. Um, I mean, I think if you ask Jacoby to fight Khalil again, I think he's willing to. Um, but I think you can match him up with everybody in the top 15. He is not in the top 15 yet, but he's close to. Maybe I was thinking maybe Zhang Mingyang. Zhang Mingyang lost to Johnny Walker in his last fight and give Jacoby the chance to get back into that top 15. He's won 3 in a row now. He had like a some bad moments with Dominic Reyes before, and also another fight that he lost. But yeah, give him a chance to get back in the top 15, man. I always like Dustin Jacoby. He asked for the White House card. I don't know if that's going to happen. I hope for him, but I don't know if they're going to do that. But yeah, give him somebody in the top 15.
Michael Oleksiejczuk versus defeated Marc-Andre Barriot in a very action-packed fight.
Mhm.
Where does he go? I mean, because it's middleweight is basically a bit wide open in terms of you're not sure sort of who could beat who. There's a lot of good guys. He is somebody that you look and all of a sudden go, all right, hey, 3 fight win streak, you know, knockout, over Sadiq Dumas, knockout over Gerald Merchant. Marc-Andre Biot is a much better win. So is he ready for maybe the next step up, whether it's Michael Pereira, Kevin Holland, and the rematches? Who would you match up?
Yeah, it's difficult, because for example, he lost to Shara Magomedov, and I think that's not a good loss to have on your record. I would think maybe Abus Magomedov makes sense. Why not? Let's roll that one. Um, it's a fight he can win. It's also a fight he can lose probably because Abus is not bad. I would match him up with Abus Magomedov. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Meanwhile, in a battle between two very good bantamweights, Farid Basharat defeated the one loss Jean Matsumoto by split decision. First off, did you agree with the decision? Did Matsumoto deserve the win, or were you happy that Basharat got the win?
I think it was a close fight. Could have gone either way. I scored the fight 2-1 for Basharat, so I don't have a problem with it. I saw a lot of people scoring it for Matsumoto. I had no problem with that as well. I think it was close. The only sucky thing for Matsumoto is that he was at 2 split decision losses, and he could have both won. I think I think Basharat won this one, but for example, when he fought Rob Font, I thought he did enough to win the fight. So he has 2 losses on his record, which are 2 split decisions, which actually absolutely suck, of course. But yeah, he's a good prospect, man. I don't think that this loss does anything to him, to be really honest. It was super close. And for Basharat, I mean, Basharat called out Davis Figueiredo. I honestly like it. Figueiredo is one of the older guys in the division. Doesn't look good in his last 2 of the 3 fights. So yeah, why not roll it?
Is he good enough to eventually challenge for the title from what you've seen? I know it's still early. He needs a bit, maybe a little bit more seasoning. But when you look at this guy, ferocious Fareed.
Yeah.
Do you see a guy that you go look and go, he could beat maybe Rob Font. He could beat Peter Yan. He could beat Rob Dashvili.
No, I don't see that. I don't see him beating guys like Marab, Jan, Sandhagen also not, you know. But there are a lot of guys in the division like Marlon Chito Vera. I think he can beat him. Rob Font, he can beat him. Like these guys, Davis Figueiredo, he can beat him, you know. It's like, but I think like he can beat some of the top guys, but like the top guys, I don't see him beating those guys right now, you know. He's still in developing, so maybe he gets better as well, you know. But yeah, that's how I see it. I think he's a very good fighter, but I think he still has some of a learning curve, and he knows that himself as well. He said as well, like, listen. I'm getting better, just like my brother. We're getting better every day, you know. So this is not our top yet, and I believe him. I think he's getting better, but I don't think he's there yet where he can compete with like the absolute top of the division. But maybe in the future, you know, fighters developing and getting better every day.
Daniil Dunchenko defeated Alexander Moreno by unanimous decision.
Hmm.
In fact, he won two of the scorecards, 30-26. Poor Alex Morono's legs were just destroyed after all those leg kicks, and yet somehow Dunchenko couldn't finish him. Does that maybe say more about Alex Morono and his heart, or Dunchenko and his conditioning?
Oh, Morono's a tough motherfucker, man. You know, we know that always. You know, the thing with Morono is like, I think he's like the thing with Morono was earlier that he could like win against guys who are not like top 20 worthy, you know. And now we're getting Morono who's still super tough, but he doesn't win those fights anymore, you know. So yeah, he's super tough, definitely. But I think Morono is kind of declining, and I hate to say it because I think he's always been a real good addition to the UFC roster. But yeah, I think it's kind of a little bit over for Morona right now in the UFC. And yeah, for Donchenko, he said he did everything to what he could to finish him, but it wasn't working, and it happens, you know. I mean, he won a clear decision against Morono, and that's good enough in my opinion.
So, what do you do with Dunchenko next? I mean, do you give him? Obviously, you probably don't give him a top 15. He's not. You're not sure if he's ready for that yet. But what would if you were UFC? Do you keep giving him guys like Morono? Do you give him a little bit of a higher step up? Like, what's next for this Ukrainian striker?
I mean, you have a lot of good opportunities in the division, man. They have, I mean, why not a Tamba Garimbo? You know, I think that would be interesting. Tamba is pretty good on the ground. He's pretty decent standing as well. And Donchenko really has a good stand-up game, and his ground game hasn't really been tested yet, in my opinion. So I think that would be a good fight. But I definitely wouldn't give him anybody ranked yet. I don't think he's there yet. But yeah, give him somebody like with a decent record in the division who was also good in grappling and striking both. That's what I want to see.
Ketlin Souza continued
Hmm.
her winning ways as she defeated. Well, actually, she bounced back, beating Bruna Brazil. This is once again, though, it's another person you're sort of unsure, like where do they fit in the grand scheme of things? Like she's lost to Angela Hill, Pierre Rodriguez, Karine Silva, but she's beaten, Yasmin Yaguera, Marnik Mon, and Bruno. So if you're the UFC, like how tough is it having a lot of these people where it's like, okay, how much longer are you here? Can we let you go and bring some other people in? Like I mean, how much of that is sort of just Sousa's sort of problem, where she's just good enough to be in the UFC, but she really can't beat anybody who's top 15.
I would say Katlyn Souza is decent at best, you know, but she has knockout power, and that's the thing that she can finish a fight when you don't expect it, pretty much, you know. Um, this fight in particular, I felt like Bruna Brazil didn't want to be there for some reason. You know, I was surprised that Catlin was the favorite going into that fight, but I mean, I would say Bruna proved why Catlin was the favorite because Catlin wanted to be there and Bruna didn't want to be there, in my opinion. I think Catlin clearly won rounds 2 and 3. I don't know why there was any confusion there. I picked Bruna before the fight, so I'm as like how do you say that, neutral as it gets. As I say, Catlin clearly won the fight. Yeah, but not a good fight, dude. And I think Catlin Souza is a girl who will be for some time in the UFC, but I don't see her reaching a top 10 or whatever, you know. But she will be like in between top 10, top 20, somewhere there, I think.
Jakub Wiklats defeated
Yeah.
Wing Gafura by guillotine submission choke.
Mm.
He's quietly be making a name for himself as somebody we got to go like, all right, hey, maybe he's much better. I mean, he took this, Gafurov was the former bantamweight champion who came in 5 pounds over the weight limit, and Wiklot still beat him. So, I could is Wiklot somebody that as we all of a sudden could maybe take on Davison Figueiredo next.
I mean, first of all, Chris Toyoni, you absolutely suck, you know? Um, yeah, I mean, come on. He's telling Jakub Wiklats, who Wiklats said after the fight, that he told him Gaffer up tap after the buzzer. I'm like, dude, you're watching the wrong fucking hand. I immediately said to Adam, I was like, he tapped with the left hand before the buzzer and he tapped with the right hand after the buzzer or during the buzzer, you know? It's like it's a clear guillotine choke win submission for Jakub here, you know? And they went to the review, thank God, because if it didn't have a review, we went to the scorecards and it would have costed Jakub 100K actually, because with a normal finish, he would have got 25K, right? But he got 100K from the UFC because it was one of the performers of the night bonuses. So Toyoni almost costed Wiklats 100K. Imagine, absolutely suck. Get him out of there. But Wiklats, I mean, yeah, great finish, man. The thing was like, um, they both had 1 round each going in the third round, in my opinion. And Gafurov looked good in the third round, but Gafurov cheated on the scales. He was 141 instead of 135. And Wiklats actually made the weight. So Wiklats was like gassed during that fight in the third round. And Gafurov still had like air in his lungs to go for it. And I was like, dude, now you see the weight cut here that Gafurov didn't went to the 135, 136, and Wiklats went to the 136 to get the weight. And actually, it's kind of karma that he was able to get the win and to tap him out. The thing is, like, he would have still won anyways because he had the 29-28 on the scorecards, Wiklats. But at the same time, I think it's good that he got the finish. It was a beautiful finish. Where do I place him is difficult because I think the mix fight was pretty close, and I actually thought that Patchy Mix won that fight. But he looked good against Gafurov. I would still give him somebody outside the top 15, man. I don't think he's there yet, but he's looking good. And yeah, he's an interesting guy, I think. He's kind of new. He came over from KSW. Yeah, let's see how he fares against. Give him a guy like Adrian Yanez, for example. That would be a fun fight, I think.
Javi Basharat defeated Yanni Vasquez by unanimous decision. This was like the weirdest fight in terms of it was supposed to be Said Nurmagomedov versus Javid in
Hmm.
a bantamweight scrap. However, Nurmagomedov has visa issues; he can't do it, and then they tab Gianni on 2 days' notice. And of course, he comes in 5 pounds over the weight limit. Why couldn't the UFC just push this fight back to another card? They had it. They had one. They have one in February 21st. They could have easily said, "Hey, you know what? Fareed, we know you. Here, we'll give you a little bonus. Thank you for doing this. Just yeah, we got to reschedule this because this just felt like a no-win situation for Havid. If he wins, great. He beat up a guy who came in on 2 days' notice and wasn't in shape. If he lost, he'd be screwed because hey, he took on a guy who was 5 pounds overweight and he only had 2 days to prepare for this guy, even if not even that. So does the UFC have to stop doing? Hey, yeah, we even if we have 2 days, we'll still find an opponent for you.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with this particular fight is that Saeed didn't get his visa cleared. And that's why this fight was, I think, announced by the UFC 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the fight was in the making like already 2 months ago. And I think when I asked if the visa was there, they said no. And then the UFC 2 days later posted the fight. So I was like, okay, so the visa is there now. So apparently the visa wasn't still there. So the thing is, like, you don't know for sure in 2 weeks if the visa is there, you know? So I think that's why they were like, we have to get Javid a fight here. Plus, Javid probably wanted to have a fight there, you know? So they signed Johnny Vasquez, which I like. I like Johnny a lot, you know. He's actually a flyweight normally, you know, for that bantamweight. I think he didn't do bad. You know, in second round, he tagged Javid. He almost got the finish there. He didn't finish him. He lost for rounds 1 and 3. I didn't mind. I didn't mind that signing, but I understand what you mean, you know. But the thing is, like, we don't know with Saeed if he got the visa approved, you know. So maybe if you have to rebook that fight, you have to do it outside of the US, you know. And I don't know when the next event outside the US is. It's in England already, in London, but I mean that card is booked, you know. So then you have to look a month later. And I don't know if they have a month later. Maybe in May they have Serbia, for example. But that's a long time. So I think Shafiq wanted to fight. He wanted to fight on the same card as his brother Farid. So I don't mind that they did that. You know, it's okay.
Should they change that, policy where you need to have your visa locked down with a month within the fight? Like if you don't have it, they can just reschedule it, because this is getting crazy. I mean, if Basharat lost this fight,
Yeah.
he could argue, "Hey, look, you screwed me. You gave me a guy I had no idea who it is.
Hmm.
He was 5 pounds overweight, and you pulled a switcheroo literally 2 days before. Like this doesn't happen in other sports. Like, okay, if team's not ready, if you're like even the Olympics, any world championships, guy's not here, guy's not ready, you advance, the other guy wins. So does the UFC have to fix this before it starts becoming maybe a bigger issue down the line?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. They definitely. I think they shouldn't announce a fight until the visa is approved. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like false advertising if they do that. You know, and yeah, I fully agree with you on that. By the way, yeah, or at least they should have a backup plan. You know, and I mean a backup plan, not like a last minute backup plan. You know.
By the way, we had two women not make weight for their fight. Wong Khan and Eduarda Mora both weighed into 1.5 pounds over the women's flyweight title fight, which means nobody got each other's purse. And the good news is Wong Kong defeated Eduardo Moore for the UFC, because they were probably going, please let this happen, please let this happen. What did you think of that fight? And how much did it show that man, women's 125 and even bantamweight is getting very thin?
The only good news about that fight was that it was over. You know, it was not a good fight. The thing is with Eduardo Mara, she guesses all the time. You know, in fights, she was overweight at 125. She fought at 115 before, and she also missed weight a couple of times there. So I know what's up with that. Yeah, not good. With Wang Song, I think the UFC really wanted to hype Wang Song, but I think in the last couple of fights she showed she's beatable, you know. And if you struggle with Eduardo Mara, and she did struggle with her definitely on the ground, it's not a good sign, you know. She clearly won the fight. I think she won 2-1 in my opinion. But yeah, it wasn't a good fight. It was one of the many bad fights, honestly, on the card. I was happy when it was over, and I think Wang Song deservedly won the fight. That's all I have to say about it.
And finally, in women's bantamweight, Claudia Segula defeated Priscilla Cachoeira by unanimous decision, 30
Mhm.
27, 30 27, 29 28.
Yeah,
I'm guessing this is also one of those fights where you're like, thank God it's over.
yeah.
Why am I suffering through this?
Yeah, another one. It was like more active fight, you know. There were a lot of punches, and Sigula looked kind of good, you know, how she fought. She was really crisp with her jab, and she was quicker than Cachoeira. But overall, not a very appealing fight to watch, in my opinion. And man, the audacity of Amanda Nunes and Cachoeira to raise their hands after the fight when you clearly lose 30-27 or at least 29-28, you know. I mean, come on. The funny thing was like Amanda was like cheering, Cachoeira was cheering, and Nina Ansaroff or Nina Nunes, who was next to them, she was already looking like, yeah, we didn't want that fight. So, yeah, good win for Segula, second win in the UFC in a third outing. So, pretty decent, but I don't see her making any waves, to be really honest.
Well, we also had a PFL card, which if you didn't see, no problem. It was Saturday at 9 a.m. in the morning on ESPN Plus. Oh, they gotta really get that better TV deal. Let's start off here with a guy who many say is probably one of the best fighters, not in the UFC, and probably even if he was in the UFC, maybe one of the best. That is Usman Nurmagomedov continues his winning ways. This time a walk-off, just arm triangle choke over Alfie Davis. 441 round three, just went through him like a hot knife through butter. Again,
Hmm.
it's I guess who else outside of maybe Archie Colgan? Is there anybody that PFL can throw at Usmar that might be even a threat?
No, the only guy at PFL who can match a little bit what Usman is Hughes, Paul Hughes, but he already lost twice to him. Usman should go to the UFC probably. I don't know when, but there's where his challenges are. But he's probably getting a good contract at PFL. He gets paid well, so I understand if he stays there. But yeah, Usman doesn't really have competition over there, in my opinion. Got to be honest. He looked great again, great finish. Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, nobody thought that Alfie Davis was going to win. I mean, I like Alfie, but everybody who was not related to Alfie or being his teammate knew that he wasn't going to win that fight.
Is I know this is gonna be sound blasphemy here, but is
Mm,
Usman good enough where if he walked into the UFC, he could beat anybody, including the champion Ilia Topuria?
I mean, I think he will compete with the top level in the UFC. Will he beat Ilya? I don't know for sure. Um, you cannot do MMA math. I think he will be somewhere in the top 10 for sure. Can he reach the top? Maybe. He has the credentials, I think, to do it, but we need that. That's why we need to see it, Chris. That's why we need to see it. I cannot say for sure, because I'm not sure. We need to see it. It's like it's with Patchy Mix. Everybody was like when Patchy Mix went to the UFC, like he's definitely going to be top five. A lot of people said that, including myself. I thought he was going to be top five. Then he comes there and he doesn't do great. So yeah, but we need to see it before we can say it.
Well, in a PFL sort of, it only happens in the PFL. They had their vacant welterweight championship between Shamil Musayev, who I know you were high on. Hey, this guy's an action-packed fighter. He's gonna win against Ramazan Kurmagomedov, and of course, Kurmagomedov once again won. He just smothered him. And then afterwards, the motherfucker retires. I mean, if you're PFL, it is just like, how dare you? And it's just peak PFL. Even when they win, they lose. Um, even you, Marcel, must have been like, yeah, this is a PFL thing, doing PFL stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Um, Yeah, I think that the PFL would have loved to see it the other way around, to be honest. But it happens, man. It happens all the time. I mean, what did you think about it?
I mean, I'm just sitting there. It's like, and their heart of hearts, they wanted Thad Jean versus Shamil Musayev. They were like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to be great. And now it's like, God damn it, we're stuck with Ramazan. Okay, we can make that work. And then when he retired, it's like, you son of a bitch. So, I mean, what do they do now? Because, Thad Jean's the guy they want to push. And it's like, okay, well, I guess we do Abdul Gurumov, who, AKA the Lazy King. But even then, that feels like just, wow. It's like you're promised, a prime cut porterhouse steak. Instead, you get McDonald's Happy Meal. You're like, oh, this sucks.
I would probably still do Musayev against that Gene. Why not? I mean, that's a fun fight. And let's be honest, the other guy probably also would have lost to Kurmagomedov. So I like that fight. I would still do it.
Can PFL catch a break this year? I mean, now they've gotten rid of all the old guard. Don Davis is gone. They have a new person in charge. Their next card isn't until like March, which is PFL Madrid. Of course, Costello Van Stennis versus Fabian Edwards. I know we'll be talking about that later on because, well, it's a Netherlands champion, which means you already have, the flags getting ready to go and invade Madrid. But is there any way this promotion can like just get better this year, or is this always going to be just what PFL is?
Thing is always going to be what PFL is, to be really honest, you know. But we'll see. I mean, I cannot say what they're gonna do, but I think it will stay the same pretty much, you know. And the thing is, like, for the sucky thing for PFL is that their fighters will keep talking about being in the UFC, you know. And I know they want to compete with the UFC, but they will never be able to compete with the UFC as long as the fighters want to fight actually in the UFC, you know. I remember when Usman signed with PFL, he was like, "I'm going to PFL, and I will later sign with the UFC." So that fucking sucks, you know. If you want to compete with these with other promotions, but I think will be a lot of the same, you know. Pretty decent fights, some really good fights, some really bad ones, but yeah, it's just the same old, I think, you know.
Finally, we
Yeah.
end the show with something which I'm still trying to figure out. I'm s- I'm almost speechless, Marcel. And you know me, I'm rarely speechless. It's one of the few
Yeah,
things I can say. I'm trying to explain this to people in the most polite way.
yeah.
Just when you thought you saw it all with power slap, you thought, okay, can't get any more stupid than this. Nope, there was Australians and New Zealanders decided, hold our beer. We can do it better. So yes, it is a sport which I am as this is what it is. Two men decide to run straight at each other, and the winner is the one only person who is still standing. That's right, run straight at each other. No, like bobbing and weaving. No diving. No takedowns. Just like two rams who are in you know fighting for, the attention of a female ram, take their horns and just bash each other. That's what this is. It's called Run It Straight. It originates in Australia, New Zealand. You've seen the videos. These are just the stills. The videos are even worse, where there's one where two guys run straight at each other and they both get concussed. They're down, they're out. I mean, it's in. I
No,
have no words, Marcel. Literally, you know, I think Ben Askren and Ariel Hawani just put it succinctly here. We are regressing as a society.
I mean, the thing is, like, I don't think it does many damage because you already have to be brain dead to enter that kind of competition. So, um, but just a bunch of retards, in my opinion. You know, what else do I have to say? Why would you do such a thing? You know, and I see Dana White thinking like, this is amazing. Let's add this one to Power Slap, you know, or something. You know, let's
Don't give
don't
him
give him
ideas,
any.
Marcel.
Yeah,
You
that's I was just want
dare.
to say. Let's don't give him any ideas. Yeah. Um, No, I don't like this kind of stuff, man. This is just stupid, you know, in my opinion. And it's also dangerous. So, what do you want me to say? When I saw it, I was like, "What the fuck? A bunch of fucking retards," you know. That's the only thing I thought, and that's still what I think. And thank God there will be not any more, not a lot of damage because if you enter this kind of thing, you cannot have a lot of brain cells. So, yeah,
See, here's the problem, Marcel.
go ahead.
This is the big problem I was thinking of.
Yeah,
There's always a TV executive
of course.
who's gonna just look at this and go, we could put this on United States TV. Hey, we
Hmm.
could make this a US sport. There's a lot of stupid people in this country. Hey, we could take it to Europe. There's also a lot of stupid people in that continent. So you know what's going to happen. Just when you thought, no, this, power slap might go away, they just said, no, and said, hold our beer. They said, hold the beer. We're going to get drunk in a tankard and we're going to just go the extra mile. Please tell me this won't be on our cable channels.
Yeah,
Or
let's
even you
hope
can't
not.
make that promise to go, Yeah, it might be here on Netflix or Amazon Prime 2027.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot make that promise for sure, but let's hope not, man. Let's hope not. I cannot say, but I don't know.
You're afraid like I am. You're like, holy crap, this might actually happen. Jesus, as a
Of
society,
course.
we really are losing it. We might as well just start, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm speechless because it's just literally, it can't be this stupid. And they are.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it, how do you say that? As it generates money, everybody's being in, you know how it is, and yeah, I'm not for it, but yeah, well, enough about this, man. Come on, let's not talk too much about this. It doesn't even deserve it.
We can end the show on this because, again, I'm just speechless. I have nothing else to say or add. And there's no more UFC fights till the 21st. So, unfortunately, this is how we're ending the show, people. But we always love having him on because he will tell like it is, be the voice of a reason in some ways. I give you once again MMA odds breaker, co-host, UFC Eurosport UFC insider, writer, and all around MMA scoops breaker. I give you Marcel Dorff. So Marcel, once again, where can fans check you out at? Where is the Twitter, or X as we call it, but as usual, Rumble, YouTube channel, websites? Where can fans hit you up at?
I mean, you can find me at Big Marcel 24 on Twitter and Instagram. My articles are on the Eurosport website, Mixed Martial Arts section. I'm doing a podcast with Adam Martin on the MMA Oddsbreaker channel live every Sunday or Monday. It was Sunday yesterday I did it, so there was it live, and we talk about recaps or previews of UFC cards. Yeah, Chris, thanks for having me as always, man. It's always fun talking to you, and yeah, till next time, and thanks for having me, man.
Marcel Dorff, ladies and gentlemen, once again, always on a pleasure having you on the show. We come back. We got a lot more going on here. Only on, it's Last Call. Last Call of the Alcohol, only on the lastcallpodcast.com.